Thank you. All right. What's up, family? I'm an addict named Phil.
Yo, Phil.
It's weird. I've spoke at this meeting like twice before, and I think the last guy that asked me to speak is no longer with us, which is really scary. And like we've lost a lot of people in the last like year, 2 years, I would say, to the disease and otherwise. And that kind of always keeps me grounded and centered, and you know, because I'm one bad decision away from being right next to him. Yeah, so I say I'm an addict named Phil because I believe I was an addict first, and then I was named. You know, I look back and like it was clear. Like when I started using, I think I knew right away that I was using for different reasons than everybody else. All my friends could go and have a couple drinks and go home, have a good time. I had to keep going until something stopped me, whether that was running out or the police at too many times, you know, or whatever it may be. You know, so like my disease progressed pretty quickly when I was, you know, a teenager, and like nowadays people like, I started at like 15, I think, really, and nowadays that's like old, I guess. I don't know. I hear of like 12-year-olds shooting dope. It's crazy, but yeah. So like my disease progressed pretty quickly, and I just did anything that was put in front of me. Like I don't really believe like I had a drug of choice because like I chose all drugs. Like you know, if you put a table full of stuff in front of me, I'm not gonna be like I only want this, like, you know, and then put the rest away. Like you know, and nothing was ever enough for me. Like there was never a satisfying, like, you never one morning are like, you know, I think I've smoked enough crack for tonight, like, I'm just going to go to sleep. Like, that never happens, you know, well, for me at least. You know, so I got into the harder drugs at like 16, and, you know, my life, like, spiraled down for, like, the next 9 years. And, you know, at 17, I went to my first treatment, and I didn't want to go, but I just happened to like I crashed my friend's mom's minivan, and then I was gonna like run away, and then like I decided to try to overdose because I thought that people in rehab that overdose were the cool ones, and so like all this crazy stuff happened at once, and then I ended up in treatment at 17. But I thought if I just like could put one thing down, you know, my life could be manageable, and I could manage the rest of it. You know, that never happened. I moved out, got kicked out of my house at 17, and so I was on my own, and it gave me the freedom to kind of do whatever the hell I wanted. I wasn't accountable to anybody. I could get fucked up as often as I wanted, and you know, nobody to tell me otherwise. So it, you know, it went off from there, and I kept getting into trouble a lot. And like now looking back, like it's not a fucking coincidence that every time I got locked up, or I was either like high or about to get high. And like now it's amazing. I'll be like driving home like 4 a.m, and I'll pass a cop, and they don't do anything. It's like they had some second sense or sixth sense that like, oh, this guy must have drugs on him. Like, let's pull him over. You know, I don't know. Funny story about that is I was coming home from the city. I was watching the Bears game during football season. I was coming home from the city, and you know, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna cut through the west side because there was a traffic jam, and I get pulled over on Independence and Roosevelt, and you know, the cop just like took my license and my insurance, and then came back and let me go. I was like, have a nice night. I'm like, what? Like, I thought for sure I'm getting pulled out, my car is torn apart, and it didn't happen. It was like one of those like universal moments for me. You know, but I kept getting arrested, and nothing ever stopped me. And you know, and then my charges kept getting worse and worse, and I ended up catching felonies. And what got me into the program is I was on felony probation and I got caught again. I was on probation like from 17 on, and like but I could never complete a probation, and I could never figure out why. Like, because I'd get high, like, and then I'd stop for a week to try to pass a drug test, and then that week would turn into 3 days to turn into I'm getting high in the parking lot of the courthouse, just like saying one of those foxhole prayers, like, please don't drop me today, I'll get clean next time. Tomorrow was my favorite word. I'll do it tomorrow, but that never came, unfortunately. Tomorrow isn't a day of the week. That's a funny thing I heard. So I got locked up again, and I had, this time they were trying to give me some prison time, and I took a plea deal to do 4 months in a treatment in Cook County Jail. And so I did Gateway in Cook County Jail, and that was like a pretty eye-opening experience. That was my first time that I like took an honest self-appraisal at like what my life was at 25. Like sitting in jail, I had to spend my birthday and Thanksgiving and shit like in jail, and it was terrible. I had to be like, wait a minute, like, when I was a kid, did I ever expect like, I didn't sit there at 12, like, when I'm 25, I hope I'm, like, sitting in Cook County Jail. Like, obviously we all have dreams and aspirations, and, like, as young people, as kids, and then, along the way, those get lost in the name of one more, so I, like, had to take a real look at what was going on, and, something clicked in me. My counselor at the time gave me a basic text, and I fucking read Who's an Addict, and I was like, man, they wrote this goddamn book about me, and I identified so much with it, and my counselor kept it real, and he's a recovering addict himself, who today is my sponsor, which is ironic. That's another story, but so he kept it real with me and like carried the NA message of recovery, and I saw that, and I decided at that point in my life, it was like I had nothing else to try. Like, I didn't know what else to do, you know what I mean? If I kept using it, that would have been it. I'd been dead just like every one of my friends was. Like, at this point, I had lost all my friends, like, except for one who was locked up with me. So I knew where it was leading. So I decided to kind of give it a try, and I got out of jail, and like this was the second meeting I came to, like the second day out of jail, and I didn't know anybody, and it was fucking weird, and people tried to hug me, and I was like, what kind of shit is this? Like, they pray at the end, or all this stuff. Like, I tried to look at and like tried to distinguish myself for being different, tried to disqualify myself, even though I knew, like, in my heart, like, I was just like everybody else in here. So I got a sponsor, and I took the suggestions. I did 110 meetings in my first 90 days, and I just like jumped right in, and that was like the starting point for me. And I didn't know very many people. I got in touch with a couple of younger guys in the meetings, and I knew one guy. And at CRC, I went to CRC like 3 weeks after I got out of jail, and I knew one person, and he's like one of my best friends today. And I took the train downtown and like walked in the freezing cold from Union Station all the way to McCormick Place to go to this convention. And like I knew this one person, and I like walked up to the hotel, and he was like standing outside, and I was like, fuck yeah. And that was, and then I ended up spending the night at this hotel. Somebody let me stay in their room, and I crashed on the floor, and I like wrote them a weird note in the morning and shit, and took off before anybody could wake up. Because I was still real weird, and some of those guys tell me today, like, man, I don't know if I could have hung out with you, man. You were weird. Like, they called me slow talking Phil, because there's another guy named Phil. I guess I used to talk real slow. I don't know. But the convention was like my first experience, like, with like the unity and the unconditional love that's like in the program. And you know, I went to the clean time countdown, and like there were all these people like hugged me for when I stood up for like 4 months, and then these 2 women had 1 day clean, and like fucking 3,000 people like rushed to hug them, and I followed because why the fuck not? And you know, these women were crying, and I started crying, and I'm like, what's going on here? Like, you know. And for a long time I used like that idea of like the love and the fellowship and the program as like my higher power. You know, it's a power that I feel, that I felt in meetings, that I felt when I talked to another addict, that I felt when I did step work with a sponsor. You know, that same power was present. And you know, so I jumped in, and I got into service work, and that was awesome. And I started working steps with a sponsor, and like the ride through recovery has been like crazy. And you know, I went through a lot of different periods in the program, and like it doesn't promise that like hard times fucking stop when you get clean. Like, I thought life was gonna be all peachy and like everything was gonna be great, and like it didn't work out that way. You know, but like, so I got with some people, and I got close to some people, and like the friendships that I've made in the program are 1,000,000 times different than anything I've ever felt before. Like, if I need somebody at like 1:30 in the morning, like I can call somebody and they'll answer the phone. Or, you know what I mean, if I'm going through something, I don't even have to ask. People will come over in 15 minutes. It's crazy. Like, you know, and it's so weird when you get here, and it's like everybody's different, and we all come from different walks of life, and like, but we all have that one common goal of recovery, and then all we have in common really is like addiction. And so I took that, and like while I was using, like I could blend in with anybody, I could hang out with anybody and be just like them, like, and it worked. I used it to my advantage. Like, I had all kinds of different groups of friends, and I was able to be just like them when I was around them. And then I would change my personality, because deep down I didn't know who the fuck I was. And you know, I got to the program and I had to like figure that out. And you know, I tried to, when I first got clean, I was like looking around for the next relationship, or, you know, still looking outside myself to like make myself feel better. And my sponsor at the time he would always be like, you know, you don't even know who the fuck you are yet. Like, how are you gonna offer anybody else anything? You don't even know how to love yourself and shit. And it was true, because like looking back, it's like, how did I even think that I had any self-love if I'm putting something in my body that could kill me at any point? Like, that means I have no real like respect for my own life. Like, and you know, it took me a long time before like I truly like loved myself. And you know, and it's a process, and it comes through the steps and through you know, through meetings. And I was at a meeting the other day, and like we read the symbol, and like it's been a long time since I even like looked at the symbol, let alone like tried to like think about what it means. And you know, it's really like powerful. You know, how like the broader the base, like the higher the point of freedom. And it's like, that's the only promise we have, like when we come in, is freedom from active addiction. But like, so much more shit has happened for me like since when I got here. Like, I didn't have a job, a car, a license, a fucking pot to piss in, whatever. You know, and I gained all that stuff back and more. You know, I've been at the same job for like 2 years. Like, that's crazy. Like, I was never able to hold down a job because I'd fucking get high in the bathroom and like quit. And then like when I'd quit, I'd like either just stop showing up or like purposely get fired somehow. You know, I never knew how to like respect anything. But like the symbol is so important to me. Is like those 4 sides, like self, society, service, and God. And like, man, like self-love is so important, and I can't stress that enough for myself, at least. You know, like, I have to take care of myself, like, in every area of my life. Like, I mean, I drink a lot of coffee, which is fucking terrible, but but like everything else, like, you know, I like finally care about myself, and it's so different. And like the biggest thing is like, for me, is like a spiritual contact, which I never had before. And like I struggled with the idea of a higher power for a long time. And like I tried to study quantum mechanics and the fucking theories of the universe. And like I tried to define like what I thought this thing was, and like for a long time, and it was like a struggle because I could never figure it out. Like, and like how do you explain the unexplainable, you know? And like once I stopped trying to overcomplicate it, like it got easy. And you know, for me, it's just like it's really this. Pretty similar to the same thing when I came in. It's like a universal love that, like a positive energy in the universe, and you know, that's what works for me. And so I've been through some real hard stuff in recovery, and I went through a long period of time where I kind of stopped going to meetings as often. I stopped calling my sponsor. My sponsor ended up moving, and then you know, then I really stopped calling him. And you know, I like wasn't showing up at meetings. I wasn't going to events. I wasn't talking to very many people. I had my few close friends still, but other than that, like I got super complacent, and I took a step back because I thought I was okay. You know, I thought like, oh, I got a couple years clean. Like, I'm cool. I don't need to go to meetings all the time. I don't need to fucking reach out. I don't need to help the newcomer. Like, you know, I thought I had it in the bag, and then like, unfortunately, like, for me, at least, in recovery, like, it always takes, like, pain to motivate me to, like, do something different. And, like, you know, even something like that happened to me recently. I went through a rough breakup, like, 2 months ago, and I didn't know what to do with myself. And, like, so all I did was fucking go to meetings every single day and, like, hang out with people until I couldn't hang out with people anymore, and then go home and fall asleep and go to work the next day. Because, like, it was like I took a step back, but then I knew at the same time that when I needed it, like, I knew what to do. And it's so crazy that, like, even today, like, the things that worked in the beginning, like, still work. Like, meetings, you know, step work, like, calling a sponsor. I ended up getting this new sponsor about 6 months ago. He was my counselor from jail, and I kept in touch with him over the years. But I actually asked him to sponsor me while I was locked up, and he was like, I can't do that. It was like a conflict of interest or something. And he's like, get a year, like over a year outside of jail, and then we'll talk. And you know, I got, what day is today?
31.
31st.
Yeah, so today I got like 3 years, 7 months, and 18 days, I think. But you know, like, no, I don't know. It is. That's true. It's totally a miracle for an addict like me. Like, I couldn't get 3 fucking hours together, like, let alone 3. You know, and yeah, the amount of so I got this new sponsor, and man, like, they say that if you don't think you have the best sponsor in the world, get a new sponsor and shit. This dude don't let me get away with anything. I'll call it, like, I went through this breakup, and you know, I'd call all these people, like, just complaining, you know, and I, like, wouldn't even listen to the solution. Like, when people would try to tell me the solution, I would ignore it and then keep bitching. And you know, I called my sponsor, and I start going off for like 30 minutes about this shit, and you know, I'm like, I don't have any answers, and blah 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 blah. He's like, you do have answers. It's over. You just ain't got no acceptance. And I'm like, damn. And as I'm bitching, he's like, he just stopped me. He's like, you're not even listening to anything I say. You're thinking about what you're gonna say next while I'm talking. And it was true, man. He knew exactly what was up. You know, so like, the basic text says, like, those who get the most out of the Narcotics Anonymous program are those who view sponsorship as important. I forget the exact wording, but it's true, man, because you know, I can't, like, see my ears, you know, but you guys can, right? You know, if I had a booger hanging out of my nose, like, I hope Steve would tell me, like, you know what I mean? Like, I can't spot self-deception by myself, so I need somebody else to fucking point that shit out to me. And you know, for a long time I like looked at it like as if a sponsor was some fucking god, and then until I like had a sponsee myself, and then I was like, and then I knew exactly what they were talking about when they said sponsorship's a two-way street, and I would learn shit from a newcomer that like, you know, would blow my fucking mind, and I'd be like, and I would tell him, thank you for calling me and like reaching, like, you helped me today stay clean, you know. And that's really what it's all about, is like, we're all in this shit together. Like, the message can come from anywhere, you know, if you're just listening for it. And this program is amazing, and like, I'm not really confused today that it's like saved my life 100%. And you know, like, I can't give back enough. Like, I try, but like, I can't give back enough to like truly like feel that I've given back enough for what I have, you know. And it's amazing, and the people around the rooms are incredible. And like, today, like, for myself, like, I'll help somebody out and not give, like, it doesn't matter if I get anything in return, like. And but for me, like, one struggle I have is like, it's easy for me to help somebody else, but it's way harder for me to still ask for help. And that's just like my ego getting in the way and shit, and a lack of humility, you know. So that's a big thing for me, and just like my capacity to like love other people and love myself is something I could have never ever imagined when I came in here, because like, I came in so beaten and broken that I just wanted to fucking die. Like, I wanted the drugs to take me out so I'd fucking be at peace. And like, today, like, like, literally today, I'm in like a very, very spiritually centered place for once. And it's been a while since I've been at a point like this, but I'm in a really good spot, like, emotionally, spiritually, in every area of my life. And like, that serenity and peace, like, unfortunately it's not always like that, but I try to remember that when times get tough, and you know, it's possible. And for anybody that's struggling, man, like, keep coming back. Like, the shit works. I mean, it's a fucking miracle. I'm like proof right here, you know. We all are. So none of us would be sitting in a fucking church basement on a Thursday night, like, talking about our feelings and shit. You know, so I don't know, I'm really, truly grateful for the I didn't want to come here at all. And like, Emily asked me the other night, I'm like, God, like, I want to say no, but like I said, I literally can't say no to service in Narcotics Anonymous, because like, it's truly given me a life like beyond my wildest dreams. You know, so I couldn't say no, but I'm glad I did come. And I don't know, thanks for letting me share. I'll keep coming back.